In 1619, a merchant in Amsterdam kept this painting hidden behind a curtain. Not out of shame, not out of caution. He kept it there because the reveal was the point. Guests would arrive. He would let the evening breathe. And then, at exactly the right moment, he would pull the curtain back and watch their faces. Constantijn Huygens was one of those guests, secretary to the Prince of Orange, one of the most powerful men in the Dutch Republic, a diplomat who had stood in the great halls of Europe, who had looked at more paintings than most men see in a lifetime. He sat down afterward and wrote about it in his autobiography. He said the face was so compelling that beauty and horror arrived at the same moment. He could not separate them. He had never written about a painting that way before. For the next 300 years, nobody knew who made this. When it entered a museum in 1818, it carried no artist's name. A curator attributed it to a student, a minor painter in Rubens' workshop. Then it sat. Then it was largely forgotten. Rubens' name didn't surface until 1899, and wasn't officially confirmed until the 1940s. When a restoration finally allowed someone to get close enough to be certain, it's 3 centuries in the wrong room. I found something when I started looking at this painting closely. There's a detail in the lower section of the canvas, something almost no one mentions, that reframes the entire image. But to understand what it means, I need to tell you who Medusa actually was. Not the monster. The woman before the monster. The version of Medusa most people know is the ending. Snakes for hair. A gaze that turns men to stone. Perseus, and the mirror shield. The decapitation. But that's not where the story starts. Medusa was beautiful, and she was attacked, raped by Neptune inside the sacred shrine of Minerva, the goddess of wisdom, of justice. Her temple, her sanctuary, violated. Minerva's response was to punish Medusa. Not Neptune, Medusa. She transformed Medusa's hair into serpents, stripped her of everything that had made her desirable, turned her into the thing men would have to kill. The gods didn't punish Medusa for what was done to her. They punished her for surviving it. Rubens knew this version of the myth, and he made a specific choice. He didn't paint the monster. He painted the exact moment the woman disappears. The face still holds her beauty, you can see it. But the death is already there, in the glassy eyes, in the pallor of the skin, in the blood pooling beneath the severed neck. The snakes are moving in, taking over. The transition is done. This is not a painting about a creature. It's a painting about a transformation that wasn't deserved. Now here's the thing. Rubens didn't paint the snakes. Frans Snyders did. Snyders was the foremost animal painter in Flanders. The person you called when you needed something living and accurate on a canvas. He worked with Rubens more than once. He painted the eagle in Rubens' Prometheus Bound, tearing at the liver with the kind of precision that makes you step back. This was a collaboration between 2 specialists, each doing what they did better than almost anyone alive. And Snyders was not decorating. He was narrating. Most of the snakes in this painting are European grass snakes, non-venomous, common, unremarkable. But there are 2 on the right side of the frame that are different, darker, more coiled. Those are vipers. In medieval iconography, the viper was a symbol. A specific one. It meant ungratefulness. Look at what those 2 vipers are doing. They're mating. And the female has the male's head in her mouth. The snake that destroys what it came from. Rubens knew exactly what he was saying. Now look at the center of the canvas. Among the larger snakes, there's a creature that doesn't look quite right. 2 heads. One at each end of a single body. That's an amphispina. In classical mythology, the amphispina was born from the blood of Medusa, from the drops that fell as Perseus carried her. Severed head across the Libyan desert. A creature with no single front. No direction from which it can be killed outright. A thing that came from her death, and cannot be stopped from either side. Rubens and Snyders put the origin and the consequence in the same frame. Medusa's death is still generating new horrors. The painting isn't over, it's still happening. Why did a merchant own this? Not a church, not a king. A private collector in Amsterdam. Rubens lived at the exact crossroads of 2 worlds. The Counter-Reformation had turned the Catholic Church into the largest patron of overwhelming visceral art, paintings that were supposed to shake you into faith. Sensation as theology, shock as devotion. But alongside the church, a new class was rising. Merchants, traders, men who had accumulated real money and no title. Men who wanted to demonstrate they had taste. Mythology was the perfect vehicle. It was classical, it signaled an educated man. It was violent, it held attention. And it was just secular enough that you could hang it in your house without explaining yourself to anyone. The curtain in Nicholas Sawyer's home wasn't just protecting a canvas from light, it was theater. The ability to shock Constantijn Huygens, one of the most powerful men in Europe, to watch him lose composure in front of something you owned, that was its own form of power. A different kind of title. Rubens understood this economy perfectly. He ran a workshop, not a studio. He painted for kings, cardinals, and merchants simultaneously. He was also a diplomat, literally. He negotiated peace between Spain and England. He understood power as a system, and he knew precisely how images moved through it. Before the final act, if this is your first time at Specchio, subscribe. The next painting is already chosen, and it has a story just as strange as this one. If something in this video made you stop, the myth, the snakes, the merchant behind the curtain, leave a like. It's the only signal the algorithm reads that says this kind of content deserves to exist. And one more thing. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. I'm always curious who finds their way here. Something bothers me about this painting. Medusa is dead, severed, surrounded. By every definition, she has been defeated. And yet she's looking up. Not at Perseus. Not at us. At something above the frame. Something we cannot see, and she will not explain. The ancient Greeks used her face on shields, on temple walls, on breastplates. Turned outward, away from the bearer, staring at whatever was coming. You put her face where danger might approach. She became the thing that stared at the threat so you didn't have to. A weapon made from a wound. Rubens changed that. He brought her close. He turned her toward us, almost. He made her too detailed to be a symbol. You can count individual scales. You can see the blood still wet. This isn't a talisman. This is a face. Huygens understood this in 1619. He said the spectator would be shocked by the confrontation, and at the same time moved by the lifelikeness and beauty. He couldn't resolve the two responses. Neither can we. 400 years later, we are still standing in front of this canvas with the same problem. We know we should look away. We don't. Maybe that's the actual myth. Not Medusa turning men to stone, but the image, any image, that holds us long enough to see something we weren't prepared to see about ourselves. We stopped being afraid of Medusa. We became her. The face that freezes everyone who looks too closely. What do you see when you look at her face?